Hi everyone, welcome back to the Palette of the Past. In today's episode, we will thoroughly discuss the biblical story known as the Curse of Ham and explore its impact, which continues to haunt us even today. This ancient narrative, found in Genesis 9, verses 20 to 27, delves into themes of family dynamics, respect, and the consequences of actions. By examining this story within its biblical context and considering its enduring effects, we can gain insight into its contemporary relevance and the lessons it holds for us today. After the great flood described in Genesis, Noah and his family, his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, are the only survivors. They emerge from the ark to repopulate the earth. In Genesis 9, Noah is described as a righteous man, and God establishes a covenant with him and his descendants, promising to never again destroy the earth with a flood. Genesis 9, verses 20 to 23, NSV states, Noah, a man of the soil, proceeded to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of its wine, he became drunk and lay uncovered inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his 2 brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders. Then they walked in backward and covered their father's naked body. Their faces were turned the other way so that they would not see their father naked. Thus, after the floodwaters recede, Noah becomes a farmer and plants a vineyard. One day, he drinks wine made from the grapes of his vineyard and becomes drunk. He falls asleep naked inside his tent. Ham, one of Noah's sons, sees his father's nakedness while Noah is in his drunken state. The phrase, saw his father's nakedness, is a Hebrew idiom that likely implies a dishonorable or disrespectful act. In ancient Near Eastern culture, exposing a parent's nakedness could be considered a grave offense. Ham tells his 2 brothers, Shem and Japheth, about what he has seen. In response, Shem and Japheth take a garment and, walking backward into the tent to avoid seeing their father's nakedness, cover him. This act demonstrates their respect for their father, even in his vulnerable state. When Noah wakes up and learns what has happened, he reacts by cursing Canaan, Ham's son. Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers. Noah also blesses Shem and Japheth, saying, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. May God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be the slave of Japheth. The exact nature of Ham's offense, seeing Noah's nakedness, has been interpreted in various ways. Some interpretations argue that Ham's offense was a breach of familial respect and honor. In ancient Near Eastern culture, such an act could be considered highly disrespectful, especially in the context of the patriarchal society depicted in the Bible. While the traditional interpretation focuses on Ham's disrespect toward his father by seeing Noah's nakedness and not acting appropriately, some scholars have proposed alternative interpretations suggesting more serious transgressions. These interpretations suggest that Ham's act was more than just seeing his father's nakedness. This view posits that Ham might have committed some form of sexual transgression against Noah. However, there are variations of this theory. Some scholars argue that Ham may have committed an incestuous act with his father. The language of seeing nakedness is occasionally used elsewhere in the Hebrew Bible as a euphemism for sexual relations. This interpretation suggests that Ham's sin was far more severe and involved a direct sexual violation. Another variant of this theory is that Ham may have had sexual relations with his mother, thereby uncovering his father's nakedness. This idea is based on the notion that the phrase uncovering nakedness can imply sexual relations with a close relative. This interpretation, although less common, is supported by the view that Noah's curse on Canaan, Ham's son, might indicate such an act. Another less traditional interpretation suggests that Ham castrated Noah. This theory is rooted in ancient Near Eastern literature, where castration could be a form of punishment or a means to seize power. Proponents of this view argue that the curse on Canaan, Ham's son, reflects a severe punishment that would befit such a grave offense. According to another interpretation, Ham's act was an attempt to usurp his father's authority. By shaming Noah, Ham might have sought to undermine his father's patriarchal authority and assert dominance over his brothers. This view sees the act as one of disrespect and rebellion rather than a sexual transgression. While these theories provide interesting perspectives, they are not without their challenges. They often rely on reading between the lines of the biblical text and drawing parallels with other ancient texts and cultural practices. Consequently, these interpretations remain less common and are subjects of ongoing scholarly debate. Despite Ham being the one who saw Noah's nakedness, the narrative takes a surprising turn when Noah curses Ham's son Canaan instead of Ham himself. It raises questions about whether the punishment was proportionate to the offense and why Canaan, who seemingly had no direct involvement, was the one cursed. Some argue that it was a case of generational punishment, where the sins of the father, Ham, were passed down to his descendants, Canaan. Others view it as a divine decree reflecting a deeper spiritual significance. Historically, the story of the curse of Ham has been misinterpreted and misused to justify racial discrimination and the enslavement of African peoples. Some proponents of slavery wrongly use this passage to claim divine sanction for the enslavement of people of African descent, despite there being no biblical basis linking the curse to any specific race. Overall, the story of the curse of Ham is a complex narrative with deep theological and cultural implications. It raises issues of family dynamics, respect for parents, and the consequences of dishonorable actions. It has also been a source of controversy and misinterpretation throughout history, particularly in its unjust application to support racial discrimination and slavery. Understanding this story requires careful consideration of its biblical context and its ethical implications for today's world. As we wrap up today's discussion, we're keen to hear your thoughts on this topic. Did it resonate with you, inspire you, or perhaps raise new questions? Feel free to share your perspective in the comments below. We sincerely appreciate your presence. If you enjoyed our content, please consider hitting the like button, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to our channel. Thank you for your support.